This is a ghost figure from Call of Duty, and in this special edition, it is colored with the Orion Mastery camo from Modern Warfare 2. And since I'm that guy who hand paints camos in real life, I thought that I should do my own version. And in this video, I'm going to go through my process and just talk about what I'm thinking while I'm doing every step. This is our first one of these full-length videos with painting, so please give me your feedback in the comments below and be sure to hit that sub button. Let's get right into it. First, we need to take him apart piece by piece, so I do my best General Shepard impression and we take his head off. After that, I separate as many pieces as I can and I put them on my little spinning dolly here. I have a little piece of wax paper down just so that it doesn't stick with the paint. So in this case, the surface was already coarse enough that it's going to hold the primer just fine. Normally, I would sand down just so the paint sticks a little bit better, but in this case, vinyl figures are pretty good about holding up paint. So I just hit it with a little bit of a black spray paint. This is going to be a very good base for us. Since we're going to be doing a dark painting on top, black is a great base here. And again, I take the pieces apart because when we're painting, it's going to be really hard, especially to get like under the gun there and just like some like nooks and crannies and underneath the cape. A lot of those places would just be impossible to get to in a good fashion to be able to, you know, paint the way that we want to. So we take it apart and we will be painting each individual piece and then we'll be putting it together in the end. When you are spray painting with primer, do lots of light coats. Now, in this case, I didn't need a thick base coat, so I just did 1 or 2 passes with about 10 minutes in between each coat. That way you don't get any drips and stuff like that, and it keeps it nice and clean. I like to let my primer cure for a day or 2 if I can, just to make sure it's all cured and good and I'm not going to have any weirdness happening once I'm painting, because you definitely do not want that. You want that solid base. But now that that is done, it's time to get to painting. Now, the Orion camo is a galaxy, right? And this is actually one of my favorite types of things to paint. I think it's a lot of fun and pretty much anybody can do this. You just got to have some patience and really have some fun with it. The main thing here is you are going to want to build up your colors. And the way I do it is I put several colors on my sheet of paper. What I use here, this white thing, is basically like wax paper. It's like lightly waxed, and that just helps it so that the paint doesn't get through to the other layers. But I put dabs of paint down and then I will load up my brush and then just get to work. So I start here with a base coat of dark purple, and this doesn't really show up a ton, but it does help in the end, because just a straight up black behind this, you lose a little bit of that character. And because this purple isn't going to be fully dry when I'm putting other colors on top, it helps that mixing process and gives us a smooth transition. So when I'm choosing the colors I want to use here, I really just go with a feel. I always like to have purples and pinks and teals, but I think it's also important to have something kind of more off the wall and out there, giving it some contrast, like some reds and oranges and yellows, which we'll get to in a little bit. But we do start here with the purples and then a little bit of a lighter purple, and then we go on with some blues and some pinks. And really, like I said, we're just going with a feel. We don't have any like plan in mind. We're just having fun with it. That's what's so great about these galaxy things, is there is no bad decisions and you can always cover something up, like if you really hate it. But at the end of the day, as long as you're just building these colors up and you keep going lighter and lighter and lighter, and then you're going to top it off with, you know, something close to white. Don't go all the way white. I think try to find a color or mix a color that has some pigment in it still. So like if you're going blue or you're going purple, trying to find something that has hints of it or some of that hue just left over, so that when you're highlighting, it relates to the stuff that's below. If you've never painted a galaxy before, it does help to just pull up Google or whatever and just get some inspiration for colors or some different shapes that you want to roughly make. Just search up galaxy on Google or whatever you want and look at some images. There's some really cool stuff out there. You don't have to be limited to just the colors I'm using here. You could go like super green if you wanted to, or do whatever you want and have some fun with it. I would probably stay away from like tans and stuff like that, although there is some galaxies out there I like a very colorful Galaxy. As I'm painting this figure, it really brings me back to my roots. By roots, I mean like my adult painting life. Like when I was a kid, I would paint little things for art class and canvases and stuff. I've always loved painting, but it wasn't until my early 20s that I discovered something called Vinylmation, and it's a Disney vinyl toy. And one of the cool things that they did is they would sell blank ones, and the purpose was to kind of design and paint your own. Now, I didn't really buy the blank ones. I spray painted over other ones and stuff like that, kind of like what we're doing here, and made my designs over it. But as you can kind of see some of my old work, it was a good kind of blast from the past for me. Before I ever started thinking about making and painting props like you've probably seen in my shorts and stuff like that, this is what I was doing. I probably made hundreds of these vinyls and I absolutely loved it. And then I kind of got away from it for a while. I don't know if I got burnt out or what caused that, but I had so much fun before, and it has been great kind of reigniting that passion with all of this painting on this channel now. Once we're kind of satisfied with the base Galaxy, we're not done with it yet, but we're satisfied with basically the underlying Galaxy. It's time to do some other little details, and the main detail here is the gun that Ghost is holding. And I wanted to do something here that kind of like calls back to my other work on the actual camos and stuff like that, and we wanted to give him an actual camo, right? The figure, how it comes is just Orion over the whole thing, and I thought it would be really cool to give him an actual camo on the gun, so we chose gold. So what I did here is I did a base layer of basically a yellow, and then we did the metallic gold over that. And what this does is just helps us with coverage. Metallic gold just has terrible coverage, so if you have a yellow under it or a gold under it that's not metallic, it just helps kind of cover that area. And so if any of that shines through, you're still getting a yellow or gold, and you have a metallic over it, which really helps. Now, after that, I did some black accents, and then I even did a little bit of dry brushing on that. It's probably a little bit overkill for something like this, but I had fun with it. And then final touches on that, I added some brown little spots just to help darken some of the areas in the gold camo. Then when that was done, we needed to add the stars, and there's a way I do this that I think just turns out absolutely amazing. And it's a little bit weird, but we use a toothbrush. So grab a toothbrush and you're gonna just load up that brush with whatever color you want. I have like a off-white. I don't like just straight up white very often because I think it's really bright. So this is like a little bit of a blue tinted white, still very close to white, but there's a little bit of that blue in there, which just kind of helps tie it all together. And you load up the toothbrush, and then you just put your thumb on it and you just let it fly. I kind of keep my hand a little bit away. If you've never done this before, I suggest practicing it just a little bit on a either like a spot of the piece that you're not going to see, or just on a dark piece of paper or something like that, just so you can kind of get a feel for what it's going to look like and how far away you want to be. If you're closer, you might get some bigger droplets. If you are farther away, you know, it might be a little bit more spread out or whatever. So you'll get a feel for it, but check out how this looks in the end. It looks freaking awesome, and I love this. I think it just sets off the Galaxy so much. Like, I think it looks cool before it, but once you get this in there, I think you just it takes it to another level. Now this next part is kind of like the finishing touch a little bit, and I went back and forth on if I wanted to do this or not. And it is the sunglasses and his like headphones or whatever. I couldn't decide if I want to just keep it Galaxy or if we just paint over with like some black for his sunglasses. And ultimately, I kind of see this as a signature look for Ghost. So I was like, you know what? I think we black out those sunglasses and the headphones. And that's what we did. And so a little bit on top of this, so we painted it over with black. And then I went in with some grays and just kind of hit the edges of it just to give it a little bit of dimension. And then to finish it off, I gave it just some reflection on the sunglasses as well. And we are not quite done yet. We're done with the painting part, but now we got to kind of let this dry and set for a bit, because next up we're going to be doing the varnish. And Varnish is something that I always go back and forth with. There's kind of two types I use. I use either matte or gloss. There's like high gloss or like semi gloss, whatever. I just use a standard gloss and matte because anything other than that, I feel like, you know, you're kind of just going over the top. But here I chose to use both. I did gloss over all the Galaxy because there's something about it. When you use that gloss, it just makes the colors pop like crazy. And in the Galaxy, there's a lot going on, and that gloss just really helps bring out all of those elements. Then I went over the sunglasses and the headphones and the gun in matte finish. I feel like those places are really suited to have that. If you have the high gloss on those places, sometimes it looks like a little bit tacky, you know, and sometimes you can't really tell until it's done, right? But at the end of the day, I'm really happy with it, and here is our finished product. I hope you guys liked this video. If you did, please hit that sub button and let me know in the comments what you think I should paint next. And if you like the figure versus like the gun stuff, yeah, just let me know. Let's chat about it. I hope you have a great freaking day, and we'll see you in the next one.